The
Business
Oddcast.
And it's the Business Oddcast, and I'm your host, Stuart Morrison, and my co-host is...
Hannah Logan, channeling the 80s today in my fabulous 80s jumper.
Fantastic. And today is very special. It's the second episode of March, and it's our 27th episode.
Woohoo!
Why is that special, Stuart? I don't know. It just feels special.
Feels really special to me, yeah.
27. Cool. That means we've been going for more than half a year.
That is incredible.
That's quite good, isn't it?
Oh, that's like a giant. When people used to say, give yourself a pat on the back, I wanted to punch them in the face. But I am going to give myself a little pat on the back because
little pat
well
on the
done,
back. Well
Hannah
done
and
us.
Stu. We're amazing.
We did 27 now. 27. So, with that said, what is our topic of the week, Hannah Logan?
So last week we were looking at energy. For those of you that haven't listened to it, what is wrong with you? Get back there and listen to last week's.
Definitely.
Following on from that, we were looking at energy last week and burnout and stuff. And today's topic is after burnout, what recovery actually looks like for ND people. There could be some crying, Stu.
I was going to say, March is just going to be full of trauma.
This is the sad month, but you can balance it out with way too much chocolate towards the end of the month for Easter and stuff. So yeah, it'll be okay.
Yeah, longer nights, lighter days,
daffodils.
Oh, spring is sprung. So with that in mind, what is the topic introduction?
So burnout recovery is often talked about like a kind of quick reset, like, take a break, recharge, come back stronger, ready to trauma yourself again. For people like us, for the neurodivergent people out there, that narrative is not just inaccurate, but actually it's really, really harmful because it not only changes people's expectations of us, like have a little sleep, get an early night, you'll be fine, right as rain tomorrow.
Maybe some vitamin C.
Yes, take some vitamins, glass of orange juice. Not only does it ruin their expectations, but actually I think it exacerbates, or it certainly does for me, exacerbates the pressure I put on myself as well, because I'm like, I'm not good enough. Why am I still tired? ND burnout isn't just tiredness, right? We all know that. You're probably listening and nodding along out there. It's our system being completely overloaded. It involves, or it can involve, cognitive shutdown, emotional flattening, just a general loss of capacity that doesn't magically return after a week. A holiday or a week off or even a blooming weekend off.
Yeah.
We talked about last episode, for a lot of us, the weekend isn't like, and now we can go up to London for the weekend and club. Go clubbing. No, my weekend is like horizontal, mainly just sucking in some fresh oxygen and trying to reinflate my broken, tired out body. It's like a little pump. I've put a little pump on my body and just pump myself up for the weekend. That was a strange thing to say. Sorry, Stu. So actually this episode is about naming what that burnout recovery actually looks like. So, looking at the idea that it is slower than expected. It's not. It's non-linear. It's deeply frustrating.
One word. It's brutal.
It is. It really is. And it's often so misunderstood by the people around us. And I think that's what makes it more brutal, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like, why didn't you rest? You do know that rest takes energy. Like existing, yes. And I have zero. I'm your mobile phone with one bar and you're trying to make all of the phone calls and surf the internet. No.
Download a movie at the same time.
Oh, just dim the screen a little bit. It's not going to work.
So this episode is not about bouncing back. It's about finding a way forward that doesn't recreate the same conditions that caused the burnout in the first place. So on that note, we will sort of dig slightly deeper into the idea that our burnout is not our... I can't speak. Can somebody get a bed for Hannah, please? Our burnout is not just extreme tiredness. So we've said about how it affects the cognition, emotion, nervous system. It basically, if I'm not careful, turns me into an utter lunatic.
Tiredness is in there. Tiredness is
in there.
one of the threads,
Mhm.
but that's not the whole of it.
No, and it feels, like some people are like, oh, I'm a bit tired. But what they mean is they'll sit down for half an hour, have a drink, get some H2O inside them, and then they're back in the room. But it's not, for us, it involves brain fog, executive dysfunction. It's like halving your IQ. You're running on fumes and your brain is down. I mean, we talked about this a bit in the last episode, but your brain is down to like essential processes only. Except you keep opening new apps and the browser's got 4 sessions, 92 tabs open, music playing, not sure where that's coming from. The mouse keeps glitching. It's just, emotional shutdown or volatility is, just...
We talked about it last week as being an energy overdraft, and it really is.
Yeah.
It's the lack of ability to run the machinery that makes up your physiology.
Yeah.
It can appear like you're confused, drunk even, like you're making poor choices. I don't know if you've had this one. I can think of 3 major burnouts in my life.
Yeah.
And a few, as we talked about last week, some brownouts, just like, had to go away and regroup. But have you had this? You're doing a mundane task, you're standing in Lidl, and then you suddenly wake up inside your brain and go, why am I even staring at the batteries?
Yeah.
And you can't even remember, and you look at your phone and you're like, oh yeah, batteries. And then you're like, why do we need the batteries? And it's like just peeling away layers to try and just figure out which batteries you need, because you can visualize them and you go, oh, they're double A. And it's just like the cogs are so slow and slipping and not engaging. I just find it the absolute worst. It was like living... The first time it happened, the doctor diagnosed depression.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily certain that there wasn't an element of depression, but I'm not necessarily sure that it wasn't huge autistic burnout.
I think, 100%. And you and I, we've shared this many times, but we're both late diagnosed.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this ourselves between us, but the light bulb moment wasn't just like a light bulb. It was like the world's biggest. It was like the sun. When I was like, oh, you get that diagnosis, that reality, and then you're like, you look back, like a bit like that advert where that deer is almost getting hit by a car and it sees like all the different kind of younger versions of itself. I remember that reality of finding out like, oh, and then looking back on all these situations in life and going, okay, giant light bulb, I can just understand all of it now. So yeah, but
you do have to have a degree of self-awareness.
You really do, because that also, for me, that helps with the shame. When I'm self-aware and I'm able to own stuff and recognize situations and my part in them, then actually I don't feel so ashamed, because there's less confusion surrounding that situation. Does that make sense? I think I've made it more confusing by the way that I just explained it.
No, I think I'm there, and it's really frustrating when you go to find help, whatever that looks like, whether it's actual going to the doctor or talking to someone or reading stuff. If people don't know you're neurodiverse, they don't know what the baseline is that you're coming from. Well-meaning, well-trained, genuine human beings who have nothing but the best interest in you can get it hugely wrong. Wrong. And once you know how you present in burnout, you're better able to treat yourself. But you're at the worst possible point in treating yourself when you're in the middle of burnout. And it's like I say to people, the worst time to plan for a disaster is in the middle of a disaster. So what's the plan? And it's the same with burnout. if you learn about it beforehand and you understand what it looks like on the way in, and you have a plan that you're like, right, this is what we've got an overwhelm kit on the website which takes you through some scenarios and tells you what you could think to put in place before you need to put it in place. Because guess what? You haven't got the energy to put anything in place, let alone a plan, let alone put a plan together. You'll be lucky if you can eat and get it in your mouth.
And find the right spoon to be able to do that as well.
Oh, I tell you, I one of my comfort foods when I was in my complete burnout was soup. It's so easy, just like pour it in, heat it up, eat soup. And whilst it's doing a bit of toast to dunk into it, it can be a real restorer, you know, like broth or something, you know. And if you're hungry and you can't think straight until you've got food in you, it's like an emergency go-to hit of energy to at least get you to the point. And it's not going to fill you up to the point where you then can't make a decision. But if you're running on empty and you can't make a decision, soup. And I had an absolute 2-hour crying fit because I couldn't find my favourite spoon, and I'd forgotten that I had taken it over to my parents. Yes, I carry my spoon. So
there is nothing wrong with that. There is no shame, no spoon shame here.
It was the thing, and the reason I'd taken it over there was to show my dad, to say, we had these spoons as a kid. Do you have any more of them? Because my dad never threw anything out. And in doing that, he said, leave it with me. I think I've got some in the shed. And I forgot to take it because I just leave it with him. And so, and I was just having this whole, and then it just felt impossible to then get in the car to drive to my parents to get the spoon, because it's like, for fuck's sake, why can't you eat your soup without a spoon? And the shame and it. But you see, you're not thinking clearly. The brain is just chocker of cobwebs.
It's like the blind leading the blind at that point, isn't it? Trying to get yourself, yeah. So that kind of leads us really onto the next point, really, of kind of why recovery takes longer than you expect.
Well, you see, for me, it's the lack of prep. It was the lack of preparation. I wasn't expecting it. It was all consuming. I literally lay on my bed 4 days. And I mean, laid on my bed 4 days. And you just, it's not even a lack of motivation. It's the absence of thought. Like you think to yourself, oh, I should eat. Oh, I've got to get, and then your brain just sluggishly goes through, but you've got to stand up and walk over there and get a pan out. And that just already feels like 3 things that you don't have any energy for. So it just, everything just feels unbearable. And this is terrible because the rest of the world is foot on the accelerator and saying, why can't you keep up? And it's like, I'm not built the same way. I'm just look at me. You're asking a very large gentleman to move quickly. Do I look like an athlete? And that nervous system outage, burnout, needs a complete reset. It needs you to take time for the animal inside you to reconnect and recharge and recuperate and all of the other words that get you back on your feet. A physical injury, you tend to get a buy for.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, there's 2 levels of physical injury. There's the accidental physical injury, however that's so caused, trip, fall, whatever, you know, going about your normal day, paint can drops on you, whatever. People go, oh, really, a lot of sympathy for you there, a lot of sympathy like that. You even get sympathy when you go on a self-inflicted holiday. When you
it feels like self-infliction.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Why would you go skiing? I mean, but you go skiing and you break your leg. It's like, no, you chose to go skiing and you broke your leg doing something which is inherently a leg-breaking type deal. You know, everybody went and damaged themselves. What, on a slippy surface? You put on slides and hoped that would end well.
Hope you don't die. Okay, good luck with that.
Exactly. But you even get sympathy then. But burn yourself out and have a complete and utter shutdown of your
Mm.
nervous system to the point where thinking is a task that you just sometimes can't face. And people are like, oh, why don't you just pick yourself up? I think it's got better, but I think this is because people are more aware that mental health issues. In fact, it's more people are having more diagnosed mental health issues, which means that more people are aware of it because they've experienced it either firsthand or in their family, and they realise that it's not just a case of, in my day, it was just pull yourself together, stiff upper lip, get on with it. And to a certain extent, and this is going to be an unpopular thing, nobody can do it for you. So you kind of have to buck up and face the facts. But with a structured approach, I think you can, and a plan in place, you can heal yourself with very, very simple and easy to apply principles, which I'm hoping we're going to cover in the rest of the episode. But it doesn't return evenly either. So you might just suddenly wake up and think, do you know what? I feel all right today. I go to the shops, and I've had this. I can face getting dressed, walking out, and I've got to talk to the person behind the counter, but I'm sure I can say, oh, it's bad weather or whatever, and get through it. Just even if it's just a mumbled thank you, it'll be fine. But what if you bump into someone? Oh God, the random encounter when you're not
accidental friend.
Oh yeah, the person who wants to stop you in the street for a chat.
Will ask you just something totally bloody irrelevant. Yeah.
But what we were saying last week, it's like being in the overdraft. You get to that day when it's returned, and you may have just crawled out of the overdraft. But don't think you're healed because you've got no savings, and you need to get some savings in the bank so that you can resist those kind of uneven energy deliveries. Because the next day you might just have wiped yourself from. I remember walking around the block. I had an operation on my knee whilst I was going through this burnout. It was just the worst. So I was kind of confined to my house, which helped. But one day that I was told that I had to go down the stairs and around the block once a day, and I hadn't been doing this. I just couldn't face it. I couldn't face the stairs, let alone I was on crutches, crutching my way around a block. And one day I just woke up and I felt like I could do it, and I did it. And it wasn't even half a mile, Hannah. It was as an insignificant distance. 3 days to recover from that.
Yeah. I believe it.
Just, I got back, and in fact, I thought I was in trouble halfway around, thinking, I'm not sure how I'm going to get home because it's as far back that way as it is to continue, and now I'm kind of stuck. And I just, took a moment and recovered. But the point to it is that don't expect suddenly your energy levels to rise in an equal stepped fashion like you are charging a battery, because that's just not how it arrives at all.
No.
It takes we'll get into this, but it takes long time to recover, and the longer you've been burning that candle at both ends and scraping back the wax and finding other places to set light to the wick
all the fire,
forever how long you've been doing that, it's going to take an amount of time to crawl your way out of that. And the healing, it happens invisibly. Somebody could arrive the next day and they're like, what have you done? I've done literally nothing. You look no different. Oh, I feel better. I feel a bit better. Don't be around negative people at this point, because you need understanding and space. Connect with other people though. Don't withdraw. That was where my mistake was. I literally went into my cave, and 12 days. Yeah, 12 days I'm not getting back, I can tell you that much.
I'm actually envious of that cave. I quite like the idea of kind of, but you're right. Don't, yeah.
I think wallowing can be all right. It can lead to the right place, but I've found that it leads to a much darker place for me. And whilst I'll acknowledge my own lack of energy or burnout or brownout or whatever, and be realistic and pragmatic about it, I'm not beating myself up anymore. I'm just refusing to.
I think everybody, not just folk like us, but everybody can feel that pressure to kind of bounce back. But actually for us, it can be so harmful, because I know that people often around us have good intentions and they're trying to jolly us along and, trying to kind of get us back on track. And people that love us must be worried about us when we're in this burnout, right? Because they're kind of like, oh God, even though they will have invariably seen it before.
If they've been around for a while.
Yeah, they'll have certainly seen it before in my world. But when you love somebody and you're going to be worried and you're going to try and kind of jolly them along. But actually that, I think, having been there myself, it can feel really, really quite harmful and toxic, even when the intentions are good. And I think, for me, I've been there and I've felt those kind of expectations from those pressures that we put on ourselves, but also those societal ones, those expectations. If you're employed, oh God, how long is my employer gonna put up with me recovering and or having to justify it to people around you, because it is an invisible thing that they can't. They have to rely on the evidence we're giving of, actually, I feel like I can't function at the moment.
And they're also judging it from their own perspective.
Yeah.
So, what? But you've only done this one project and that's burnt you out.
Yeah, they don't get it. They don't get it at all. And I'll be honest and say that so my daughter really, really suffers from burnout a lot. And I remember the first time she was kind of, Mum, I just can't do stuff. And I hadn't experienced it much myself at that point, and I had no idea that any of us were autistic, bizarrely, because the signs were glaringly obvious. And I remember kind of like, well, come on, once you get going, you'll have a bit more energy and, have something to eat. And once you get, and now I look back on the once you get going version of myself and think, oh, Hannah, piss off. But I didn't get it. And I was lucky at that point to not get it. But I do understand it now because I've been there myself. And we have our own internalized productivity guilt, right? A lot of us are very, don't want to be like I told you in the last episode about, I get the rage if I have to have a bath because I see it as a waste of time. I do.
I hear that so loud.
I do feel, even when I know, and I'm really, really self-aware now, and I know when I need to just switch off, do something that doesn't burn any brain cells and stuff. But even then, there is a tiny part of me like, and if you get better quickly, you've got that blog you need to write, or you've got, there's always, unfortunately, that internalized productivity guilt going on, even if it's not as loud as it used to be. But, do not have an ableist attitude to our output, because that's just kind of ghosting ourselves about reality. And also the fear of being left behind. I mean, I get massive, even now. I've had, not that long ago, I had a week where I'd got, a cold had got me, and that added on to the so everything was just messing with me that week. And I had to cancel a couple of networking events and stuff. And I got so much FOMO. And I kept, fear of missing out, for any of you that have lived under a rock for the last however many years, people have been saying FOMO. But that I was telling myself, well, that could have been the networking event where I was going to get a big break, or I was going to meet somebody that was going to, make the podcast famous. Or
it's the one. You've missed it.
But it's bullshit, right? Because that fear of being left behind. But really, is somebody that day was the king of podcasts was going to rock up and be like, oh, I came to see Hannah and Stu, but neither of them are here, so that's not going to happen now, guys. Dreams killed. Also, I feel the need to point out that rushing recovery, and I'm trying to listen to this advice as I say it because I really need to. If you try and rush recovery, it just prolongs the burnout. So you're not speeding things up, you're actually slowing yourself down even more. You cannot speedrun recovery. It will take the time that it takes. Stop being all gas and no brakes. You've said this before, haven't you? Just hammering it through. And then taking that time to restock the warehouse. You've talked about the warehouse, and I love that analogy because actually, if you try and rush that recovery, you'll get a little bit back, and then you'll go back out there and burn yourself again. And you're just playing a game of like one day on, one day off, just never really, you're just simmering that burnout, aren't you, for a long time?
It doesn't get better the longer that you're on the edge of it.
No.
You have to acknowledge it and step away from it and ensure. And I've seen this happen so many times with small business owners. Something isn't working for them, but they try harder and harder and harder and harder to whatever the market is saying to them, to ignore that feedback and push and push and push. And they fall over and they disappear from the scene for a while, and then they come back with a whole new thing, and it's like
New website.
I recognise that cycle. I know where you've been.
Yeah, it doesn't work always.
But you see, I think one of the things that you've got to forgive yourself for is the grieving process, because it is a grieving process, and the reason it is a grieving process is because it's one of those situations where you have to understand that once you've gone through burnout, you're never going to be the same again. I don't want to draw the analogy to like menopause, but to a certain extent, once you've gone through a burnout, I've lost cognitive power. My stamina to well, let's put it this way. Where I choose to spend my energy is not with idiots. So therefore, I give idiots no time whatsoever, and I am quite brusque. And I've learnt from my uncle that idiots go away when you do that. Genuinely nice people will give you a bye because they will see that,
see beyond it.
They'll see beyond it. But maybe that person needed to hear, maybe you were the messenger for that person to hear that they were an idiot, and they go home and think about it and go, oh no, I'm the idiot. I am the arsehole here. And then that fear of I'll never be the same, well, yeah, you may not deal with it. You just have to deal with the fact that your capacity may change over time. But that's aging. Do you know what I mean? Like my ability to stay up all night and arrive semi-sober for a shift, and which was a 12-hour physical shift that I fueled with a couple of Cokes, a cigarette, a large English breakfast in a bun.
And there has to be a Mars bar chucked in there as well.
Probably a Mars bar at 10 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and my lunch in between. But the point is, you can do that. You can sustain that when you're 25 for a much longer period of time than you can when you're 45, especially if you've also gone through having a family and you've got the worry of running a business and keeping a income coming in. It's always going to end badly if you don't accept the reality of what burnout actually represents. It's almost a change, and you've got to accept that when you come out the other side of it, there may be some long-term side effects or consequences.
Yeah, and I think, I'm not trying to simplify burnout because it isn't a simple thing, but there's definitely an element of your body saying, okay, I'm going to have to slow you down here because can't be trusted to do it yourself. I mean, that I won't go off on a massive tangent, but with my physical health problems, a lot of that has been, it's a nervous system issue, one of the issues. And a lot of that is like, oh, your body just had to blooming tell you because it was relying on you to rein yourself in, but you didn't. Yeah. So the body's like, okay, lads, turn off some of the systems because she's an idiot. She's not going to save herself here.
I need to say this to whoever needs to hear this. You're an amazing human being and you've done some amazing things. Your worth is immeasurable in some dimensions and calculable in others. That's just life. But never hang your self-worth on the hook of fiscal shame. Doesn't matter what you've achieved outwardly, the fact that you have recognised that you need to take your foot off the gas and take a moment to heal the human inside. Give yourself a pat on the back for that. Give yourself all the kudos in the world, because that is really hard. acknowledging that you need self-help
Hmm.
is incredibly enabling. So listen to that inner voice, and whilst you may be feeling flattened by life, if you give yourself space, you will come back, and you'll come back different, but in some ways better.
Yeah.
And that public service announcement
I love it.
was from my burnout.
I went all quiet. I was like a little kind of like staring into the sky, like, oh. Yeah, I liked that a lot.
I was going to touch on alexithymia and interospection, but I think we'll save those for their
Yeah.
own special little episodes.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
idea, because they're really good deep dive topics. And sort of kind of moving on to the next point, really, recovery isn't linear, and that is not a setback. So, remember that you're going to have good days followed by bad days, but it doesn't mean that you're failing. They're just part of how it works.
Oh, it's the catastrophisation
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like, I was so good yesterday, now this is it. Oh, it's bad, it's terrible, brain cancer, I'm dead.
Exactly that. And, we have to forgive ourselves for that fluctuating capacity during the healing process. And if we kind of relapse back into a bit more of a burnout, or, feel like sometimes we feel like one step forward, 2 steps back, then don't erase the progress that you've made. It kind of makes progress, or making progress is lumpy, but you have to I can't speak today. Making progress is lumpy, but you have to embrace the process rather than trying to fight it. Like I touched on earlier, if you get a moment of extra energy that you're a bit excited about, don't just go and do something stupid shit to just burn yourself back to where you were. Stop-start energy needs to be realised as a normal pattern.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we touched on it last week, explored it in many of the other episodes that we've done. The nature of the energy, definitely.
And just, we again, learning to read those signals instead of panicking about it, recognising the signs, understanding it gets better. I don't mean better like miracle, but, understanding that this isn't the end. You don't need to go into and then we all died mindset.
The most frightening thing is having something happen to yourself that you're not in control of or aware of or understand in any capacity. That I was literally scared about. I was losing my mind when it was happening. Having lived through it, I wouldn't recommend it. But accepting all the holes, the flaws, the unvarnished truth of myself, that got me well, because I was able to better acknowledge that I'm good at this, I'm shit at that. And that self-knowledge, that's what heals you, because you cling to it of, this is making me better, and it doesn't matter what's happening today. Tomorrow's a different day, and I will make it through, because I've made it through before. So just hang in there.
There's always that sense of reassurance, isn't there, when you do something and you come out of it and you survive it. I don't mean that in a dark way.
No.
And then you're like, oh, and next time, God forbid it comes back round, you're like, you know what? I've got through this before, and it gives you that confidence and that's gold, isn't it, right there, knowing I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I'd survive it, but I did. So bring it on. Bring it on, because I've been there. I know the song, I know the words, and
I've got the dance moves down.
And it's less scary. And I'm
Definitely.
not suggesting that you're all going to embrace a second burnout, like yay, hooray, back again, sweet burnout. But knowing what to expect, like you said, having no control is terrifying. But actually, if you know the dance, okay, I've been here before. I know where this, I know how to manage this and all of that stuff. Yeah.
And rebuilding the capacity without recreating the burnout is the ideal end goal here, is that you recognise what the triggers are. You recognise the things in your life, the relationships, the commitments, and just going back through your inventory of energy drains and unplugging. I said it before, you're like a power bank with too many devices plugged into you. You just have to remove some of the bigger drains. And it's a little bit again, the financial analogy is just when you're attacking your debt, you pay off the highest interest debt first, because that's going to alleviate as much pressure and allow you to have bigger payments for the smaller debt. So it doesn't matter how small the debt is, get rid of it if it's a higher paying interest rate than the larger debt. And it's a little bit like that with your energy drains. Get rid of the highest. Don't divorce your husband. Just
No.
leave your family. But if it means that you need to have a frank conversation with your partner of, I need to go and book into a hotel for a week where I don't have any distractions and I can just lie flat and order takeout, and you can afford to do so, then have that conversation. Because if that gets you back on your feet, you need to do that, or at least come to some arrangement with your other half where I just haven't got the capacity for the cognitive load to think of all of the things in our life that I do, and I need a holiday from it. And having your other half understand that, well, I mean, I hit the relationship jackpot because my wife understood it before I did. And that really is somebody who's looking out for your best interests. She will stop me and make me eat. I know it sounds terrible, doesn't it? My wife stopped me and forced me to eat a tasty meal. A lovely, delicious meal.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Shout out to Gemma, though. She is fabulous on that front.
She absolutely is.
Yeah.
But you've got to redesign your life and work gently. Work within your capacities. You've got to listen to your rhythms. You've got to track them over the few months. Can you identify if there are any what we call lagging indicators that you need to listen? So an example of a lagging indicator, profit in your business is a lagging indicator of how efficient your business is. So if you are feeling tired now, what has been the lead up? What's the pathway to that? And what in that pathway can you eliminate in future? Unfortunately for me, that has meant I've had to put theatre to one side. I just don't have the emotional and mental and physical capacity to deal with it all, because I'm an all or nothing. You know, I'm either the stage manager,
You're not Stuart,
and
surely.
technical director, and driving the van, and
Set
doing
designer.
the get-in, set designer. I have 2 or 3 roles. You know, otherwise I don't feel like I've tried.
You're back to the one-man band with all the cymbals. And,
I've got my own bagpipes. So you also have to let go of expectations you have of yourself, because we all have that, and to a certain extent, and this is where our internal ableism leaps to the fore as we compare ourselves to other people who have greater capacity, better opportunities, more money, you know, more of other things that you are lacking, and we beat ourselves up, and then we say, oh, we're not successful. Listen, if you got up in the morning and you put on clothes, tick that box of success.
Tick.
Because some days, oh boy, I don't bother. If I ain't got a spoon for it, it's not getting a spoon.
I've had full-on 90 days. And I'm
Love a
proud of
90
that.
day.
I am proud of that. I'm proud of it. Because,
Nice.
but there was
Should be.
But there was a time when I wouldn't be. Now I'm like, yeah, this is what Hannah needs today.
The
Looking after myself.
The post person knocked the door the other day, and I answered it, and I was in my what I like to think as my dressing gown, my robe.
Is it your nightie?
It's kind of it's a very loud dressing gown, and the postie went, fantastic. I'm always delighted to see you. And the thing is, I had my fez on and my my schlumpy shoes. If you're looking on YouTube, I've got them on now. They're really comfy.
Oh, they're good.
And she said, magnificent. I always like seeing what you wear. And I get that when I go over Lidl about my outfits. They put a smile on my face. They put a smile on other people's faces. And I don't care if you think I'm a chump. You're entitled to your opinion. Whatever.
You're wrong. You're wrong, but you're entitled. You're allowed to. So
what support do you think actually helps?
So not all support is helpful, is it? I mean, we both know that.
Tell me what you're feeling right now.
Just talk about. No, I literally want no noise. I mean, once when I was in a bit of a burnout, my husband came into the bedroom because obviously I was lying down, came into our bedroom and said, "It's very dark in here," and flicked the light on. And I just started crying, and you could see him thinking like, "Oh shit," and just turned it back off again. And it was like almost like you could imagine if you put it back on, I'd cry, and then you turn it off and I'd stop, and it was just like this kind of. And he was like, and I got a bit like, "Why did you do that?" And he was like, "Well, because it was so dark in here, love. You need some light." I don't need some light. I'm an adult. I'm capable of turning the light on and off. That was a choice. Anyway, I won't go down that rampage. But my point being, the intentions are good there, right? You know, my husband thought, "Oh, it's horrible in a dark room. Poor Hannah hasn't had the energy to turn the light on."
He made the classic mistake.
Yeah.
He approached the cave with a stick and poked the bear in the cave.
Turned the bloody torch on the
That's
bear
it.
first, and then
Oh, sorry.
But when you're, you know, I can only speak from my own experience, but when you're in that burnout, I just want to be believed. I don't want to be fixed. I don't want, "Have you tried this? Have you tried this?" That just makes me angry.
Have you tried just pulling yourself together?
Yeah. Have you tried getting a grip? Changing out of your nightie.
I'm going to explain this in very simple terms that anybody can understand. Okay. Never in the history of telling someone to calm down has anyone ever calmed the fuck down. Someone comes up to you and you're race car in the red, angry, and they just go, "Why don't you just calm down?" They're getting a twatting.
They're getting a finger in the eye.
I'm
Jeff.
really sorry that backhanded reflex action to being told to calm fuck down.
Exactly that. It's like, it's that kind of practical support rather, you know, versus the motivational talk. Like, you want help. You don't want advice. And maybe that help looks like somebody realising, like when Jem makes sure you're going to eat your lunch.
Yeah.
Just that looking out for you. And my husband does the same. If I'm having a physically bad day health-wise, he'll know, like, "I don't think Hannah's eaten anything today," so he'll bring me up. And he's beautiful like that. And just get a sausage sandwich or whatever, something delicious. He's a great cook.
Sausage sandwich is an act
just
of love.
and he always knows, and that is his language, his healing language. He's learned not to say stuff like, "Do you want the light on?" He's like, "Just feed her. She's in a cave. Chuck a sausage roll in the cave."
Yes,
and
exactly that. Exactly that. If the bear is in the cave hibernating, throw in a sausage sandwich.
But, you know, for people to understand what that help looks like, or what help for us looks like, we need clear communication with them, right? When they understand what's going on, then they know what we require, or they get more of an idea of it anyway. And also for us to understand more about our variable, we've touched on this really, but our variable fluctuating output, you know, what we can do today may well change tomorrow. So actually, although that's bloody frustrating, we live with it every day, right?
Yeah.
And it, you know, it shouldn't be a surprise to us now that our energy levels and our productivity is not linear. You know, if I wake up any day and go like, "Oh, that's a bit weird. Yesterday I had loads of energy. I haven't today." Hannah, for fuck's sake, get with the program.
I've got a really energy intensive week, but I have booked a massage the end of the week.
Nice.
And that's my little gift to myself.
Yeah, little reward. Well,
just
I can. Reward's the right word, but you know, yeah.
Turn my brain off and have somebody find all the pain points in my body and press them sequentially until I submit.
Until you're like, "I'll tell you anything."
I'm relaxing.
Just dig. Oh, that sounds like a beautiful idea.
Shout out to Sam and her beautiful, beautiful family.
She does sound. You've told me about it before, and she sounds incredible. And the last point really on this, you talked in our last episode about the red rope around your time.
Yes.
And I think it's a brilliant analogy, because actually
it doesn't have to be red rope. It can be a blue rope. It could be a rainbow rope. It could be a sparkly
barbed
rope.
wire.
I tell you what, it can be.
Electric fence.
maybe the rope's red because it is barbed wire and too many people have been trying to climb over
It's a bloody piece of rope. Oh, that got dark, didn't it? But, you know, it's the whole concept, or the whole idea of protecting our recovery from those external demands, and that, you know, that red rope feels like a feels like boundaries to me,
Yep.
really.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
knowing that and I've really struggled with this over the years since I got physically not so well. I had to learn that I had to say, if people would say, "Oh, I haven't seen you for a while. Can I come over today?" I've learned that I've had to say, "I'm really sorry. I need to just be in bed today." And then they might say, "Well, I'll come and sit on the edge of your bed." No, I just need to not talk. I need to just stare at a screen for a day.
I actually need to not be having this conversation
Yeah,
where I'm
I need to not.
justifying my decision.
Yes,
Is what's
exactly.
actually happening.
Oh my gosh,
You see,
exactly
and that leaks out of me when I'm in burnout because I have a very poor social filter to start with, and it's only got worse as I've burnt out and got older.
Oh, exactly that. So that red rope is utterly
Vital.
those boundaries are like absolutely vital.
You have our permission to say no, full stop, end of sentence, no justification.
Yeah.
Be polite, no thank you. Be polite and be diplomatic, no thank you. But we can reschedule.
I love that. And if the person you're pushing back on gets a bit fighty, then tell him to talk to Stuart because he's bigger than me.
Send him my way. I'll give him an education.
Oh, so that takes us to the last point, really.
Well,
doesn't
that's
kind of yeah.
redefining the success after burnout. Because if you come back and the comeback is lumpy, or the energy delivery is inconsistent, and you're trying to project that image of I'm in business and I'm successful, how do you square that? Because if you can't show up all the time, then embrace that. If you turn up infrequently but spectacularly, as I like to think of it,
yes,
people will remember that more than if you're droning on all day, every day.
Limping along. Yeah.
Recently, a lot of the major SEO and social media marketers that I follow have changed their message from "you've got to be everywhere all the time" to "show up spectacularly but infrequently."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're just doing something that I've been doing for years. We're about to bounce back with one of our other projects because other things, life, I don't need to make an excuse and tell people that I don't know. I just decided that I didn't have the energy for it, and I time shifted it into 2026. But the point to it is that success is things like having a stable mood, regulating yourself, putting systems in place, using alarms, lists, calendars. Yes, Stuart, I know. All I need to do is put everything in a list. Why didn't I figure that? I'm not saying that this is a panacea for all woes. I'm just suggesting that not everybody has the same coping mechanisms, and think of the thing that you could put in place, even if it's post-it notes around your car interior. Whatever works. You don't need to justify yourself to your inner ableist and ghost your own inabilities like they're magically, if I ignore them, they go away. No, they don't. They don't go away. They get worse. They come back with friends and they haunt you.
Yeah, they come back with a gang.
You've got to just sleep, eat, exercise, water, smile. If you're feeling stressed, put a smile on your face. Doesn't matter how fake or forced. Or pretend you're eating a piece of chewing gum that's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's taking more and more of you. And by the time you'll be laughing and giggling and feeling a lot lighter, despite yourself, because you've mood shifted. I've got this saying, no emotion before motion. So I'm not allowed to decide how I feel until I've moved. So if an email comes in and I get instantly angry, it's like, why am I getting instantly angry? What's it kicked off? I need to move. I need to process this. I process when I move, and it helps me regulate. To have noticed that requires a degree of internal rigor that you can discipline yourself to use. But it's kind of like it's like a stim to the emotional response. I can't explain it better than that. I haven't got the language at the moment. But you can't do all of that regulated stuff and expect yourself to excel at your work if you haven't got that baseline in. and you need to return to that baseline. It's a little bit like in Blade Runner where he goes, go and calibrate yourself. You need to go and calibrate. You need to just, figure out where your energy levels are and give your body a space to bounce back. And, celebrate your creativity. Go for a walk. A walk is wonderfully freeing. Leave your handset at home or put it in your pocket and don't get it out and look at the screen. Look around, notice stuff. Look up, look at the sky, look at the birds. It's fantastic out there. Or do something you've never tried before. Go and walk round the pond and feed the ducks if that's your thing. Or just anything a little bit different or out of the ordinary to give yourself a little dopamine boost in the midst of all this can really, really help just cement that feeling that I am successful. And just listening to this podcast and being aware of this stuff, in my book, makes you successful. Do a painting, bake a cake, do a little chore for a chores are much better when you're doing them for someone else. If my daughter asked me to do some DIY, after about the fourth time, I leap to it, and it feels so good. And I think to myself, why did I put it off? It felt so good, because rather than that of going, I've got to do some DIY, I've gone, I've really made my daughter's life a lot easier with her drawer not wobbling. So yeah, you need to recalibrate. You need to take time for yourself. That's why you need to step away from whatever it is. And it is difficult. We're not ignoring the fact that all of this time requires time off, and usually time off from work, and you need really understanding workmates and colleagues. But that's part of owning your own disability. It is a different ability to other people, and you need to communicate that in effective ways. And I'm not saying you just end up an emotional wreck. Professionally, you go to your colleagues and say, this is what's happening, this is how I am dealing with it, this is why we say you should have a plan, and you need to communicate that plan to others so that they can help you enact it, even to the point of saying, Stuart, I think it might be time that you took a break, because Gemma does it to me now. She'll say, why don't we have a little break and we'll go away for a couple of days. Nowhere exciting, we might just book a hotel room in another town, just go and eat strawberries and watch stupid films. The point to it is, it's a difference, it's a change. You need it. You need to switch off. You need to let your brain center and re-energize. And that requires discipline. And that's why I think self-employment. And that's my TED talk on why self-employment is good. Thank you for attending. The end, full stop. You're all wrong. No answers, no questions. That's it. Mic drop. But yes, the whole point of being self-directed and self-employed is that you can take time to do this and hopefully do it without any guilt. So have you got any other takeaways for the Odd Squad?
Takeaways, top tips. Well, we've touched on it, but for me, rushing, I need to hear this loud. Rushing recovery just increases the chance of you getting worse and relapsing into feeling shit again. So yeah, when you get that little glimmer of extra energy, do not put a saddle on it, jump on board and go for a giant gallop around the countryside, because then you'll be back, within 15 minutes you're back lying in your bed crying again. So
it's a little bit like when you flush the loo and you've got to flush it again, and you're thinking, oh, I'm sure there's enough there now, and it's not enough, and you've just wasted more time, and you just have to get more in. It's like that. That's exactly what it's like. Rushing the flush. Don't rush the flush.
Don't rush. That's our slogan. That can be our mission statement. Oh my God. And also, recovery takes longer than we're told, and that is completely normal. It takes longer than you think it's going to take, and that is fine.
I think that's part of the ND condition. I don't think we've got very much patience.
No, and that's whoever designed our brains, although they are utterly magnificent, who would give like a perpetually impatient person the high chance of burnout? Because I'm like, I've actually said in kind of burnt out moments, I've been like, I haven't got time for this. I haven't got time to be ill. I haven't got time to be mad.
Literally said to Gemma as I'm lying in bed suffering from a cold or some other minor thing which has just knocked me over the edge of burnout. It's like, I have not, this is such a waste of time. I've got time for it. And she's applying me with soup.
It's so true, isn't it? And
Oh,
and I think my last takeaway, really, from my point of view, a slower life can absolutely be a successful one. I mean, I personally have slowed down my life. There was a time where I wanted to earn the big bucks, be like the next, I don't know, I was going to say Jeff Bezos. I don't want to be him. You know what I mean, though? Yeah, definitely not. Don't know why that came to just somebody with lots of money.
I feel sorry for him.
Yeah. My life's really nice now. And I'm not working, 14-hour days a week and stuff and all that rubbish. And I am just as successful. I think if you don't get sucked into the hustle culture and believe the hype about that rubbish, then you just realise that actually getting a really good work-life balance not only is great for your mental health and minimises the risk of burnout, because we do have the sorts of brains that have a propensity to do that.
Yeah.
We can get the essentials done, have smart processes. You were touching on it, with the lists and all that kind of stuff. Smart process. Process, Hannah. It's not a hard word. Smart. See, look what happens when I talk too much.
Smart.
My mouth stops working. And most importantly, I think just being really open and honest with the people closest to us, the people that it will also impact to some degree. Because if they understand what's going on, we reduce the shame that we may have. We don't deserve to have shame. We shouldn't have shame, but we invariably do. We can say to the people around us, there's less chance of us being abusive to them if we explain to them, I'm in a cave right now, just chuck a sausage roll in at some point and don't talk to me, and never turn the big light on.
So sorry, I've just
No.
I was going to get into hints and tips, but have you finished?
Yeah, no, do it.
I'm just being a bit impatient just to get to...
I can't believe you're impatient. Yeah, hints and tips.
So hints and tips. One of the tips is have some safe words. Now, we're all adults in this room, okay, right? This is content that made for adults. Adults in certain scenarios have safe words. So Jem and I extended that into when I don't have words or when I'm overwhelmed, overloaded, overstimulated, unable, and this can happen. I can become unverbal.
Non-verbal.
Unverbal.
Neither of us can talk anymore. When he's unverbal, it's really brutal.
He really unverbaled himself.
Non-verbal.
When I'm non-speaking, non-verbally, when I'm non-verbal, I'm unable to communicate the string of words I need to communicate, and it's like it all backs up in my head and I can't get it out. So we've got a couple of safe words. I'm not going to mention them. They're just funny little words. But the point to it is that when I am feeling like I can't answer a question now, and if I do answer you, it's likely to be in the wrong emotional key for the conversation. It's like coming into the conversation way too high in a song, or way too low if you're feeling feisty. And just having that safe word to be able to say it, the other person goes, and it doesn't trigger Jem's PDA to go, well, he's not talking to me, so what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? And it's having that pre-communication that allows the actual communication of like, look, I can't communicate it all what's going on. It's not you. I've got to just unspill, undo whatever is going on in my head, and I just haven't got time to communicate all that to you with words. So here.
Here's
Take
one
a
word.
ticket. Take a ticket. You're on the list. And I would say that has really helped in communication with my wife, my partner. Catastrophizing is a real issue. The idea that you've taken 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and that means 100 step backs, brain tumour, death. We all have a real tendency to look at the big picture, and sometimes that can include all of the catastrophes. And I would urge you to just accept that tomorrow is different than today, and that may be forward, that may be back, but just keep saying tomorrow's different. Tomorrow's outcomes will be different. Brain fog, it happens. Accept it. Do something different. Play darts, do a jigsaw, go for a walk. Do something that doesn't involve whatever it is, the tasks that are driving you absolutely nuts. You've got to protect your recovery like an injury. You're not going to get better quickly, and the quicker you try to speed run that process, the worse the injury will, or the longer the injury will take. You need real time to get well, and here's the thing: you don't come down the mountain quicker than you've gone up it. You don't. It takes even though you've got gravity on your side, it's going to take the same amount of time, depending on conditions, to go up as to come down.
Unless you fall down it.
Oh, gravity assist. You had a gravity assist though.
You roll down it.
I don't said this was time. He bounced off a few rocks. He was a bit different when we got to him. Odd shape. Leaky. But the point to it was that we home educated our children, and one of the home education sort of philosophies is deschooling, which is basically deprogramming your child from the cult of school and allow them to centre and find who they actually are, not this performative, because it's going to really be a culture shock, so that socialization is not enforced proximity in uniforms. We only do that to the military, to prisoners. Don't get me started. Do not get me started. But the point is, once they've found themselves, but Stuart, if you let them play PlayStation all day, they'll play PlayStation all day. They will. They'll get bored. Yeah. But the point to it is that they need to heal from the trauma of school. And yes, I consider it in some cases an absolute trauma. A month for every year they spent at school. So if they've spent 5 years at school, yes, 5 months of just letting them do whatever they want to do. Listen to your child. Your child will tell you who they are, and they will present what they want and need, and allow them to explore themselves. That might need some structure around it. Other children are very self-directed. The point to it is that's what you've got to do with your burnout. If it's taken 10 months to arrive, it's not going to go in a week. It's probably going to take 10 months to go. And that might sound shocking, but you're on actually doing well if it's only been that. One of my burnouts took me 5 years to recover from, because it was best part of 15 years of trauma. And that's a big lesson once you've been there, and that's 5 lost years, of just trying to grab at whatever you could to progress, not really understanding what's going on. And the final thing, I think, is don't compare yourself to how you were before. The process will change you. Life changes you. It's why did you get tattoos, Stuart? It's like, yeah, because I'm going to die in a pristine state. I'm not going to get any marks, no knocks, damages. And of course, my skin's not going to sag, and I'm not going to look horrible for all the years of drinking. But you do you. I'm just using them at this point as amusing stories and distraction from the rest of me. But that's the point, isn't it? Is life changes you, and how it changes you, maybe you don't get to choose, but how you respond to that change, you do. And so you can choose to be positive about it and go, okay, I embrace it. I embrace this new me. My new me does all sorts of weird things and gets involved in stuff and doesn't have a job description and refuses to comply with petty rules. It's just an amplification of the best bits, of most magnificent bits. So that's this week's episode. Have you got anything more to say, Hannah?
No, I don't. I think we've done a magnificent job.
I think we've represented ourselves.
Yeah,
fabulously.
we've done a really good job. Really good job.
Let us know what were the points that most resonated, that maybe you disagreed with, maybe you had a flash of energy or emotion or anger, I want to hear this. I don't care if it's put in forceful terms, but anything that lets us have an insight into what's going on out there, or how this topic has affected you, let us know.
Just give us a sign.
Throw out the bat sign. Flash a torch.
Just something. We just want to hear some noise.
Yeah,
Is anybody out there?
Even if it's a growl from a cave, we'd be quite happy with that. So, Hannah, that's this week's topic. What is next week's topic?
So the next
Is it a good one?
It is always a good one. One day I might just say next week is disappointing.
Middling.
Unfortunately, it's a bit low grade. Not my finest moment. So it's a follow-on, obviously, for our theme for
Yes.
March. But next week is the anti-hustle toolkit. So it's outlining what doing less without falling apart.
Ooh.
So I'm all about the anti-hustle.
Yes. I think we should put an anti-hustle manifesto
Yes.
in a PDF on the website for that episode.
Yeah.
So if you want to see that, definitely write in and let us know. Hosts
Yeah.
at businessoddcast.com. Next week, as Hannah said, we're going to be looking at stopping the hustle, stepping away from the hustle.
Just say no to the hustle.
Nobody needs to grind.
No, unless you're a dancer and that's what you like doing.
Or a barista.
Barista. I like how I go to pole dancing and you're like go to coffee shops. Oh dear, that shows us what levels we're both at, doesn't it?
So for more insights, come back next week, ladies and gentlemen. If you've enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. If you've not liked it, then please like, share, and subscribe.
Just keep it to yourself. If you think we're shit, just keep it to yourself.
Tell us. I'd love to hear from you.
Don't tell me I've got RSD.
I just quite like an argument. And I'll give you 15 bullet points as to why you're wrong. Right, next week, the Anti-Hustle Toolkit. Until then, thank you very much for listening to this.
We can't stop laughing.
This has been the Business Oddcast. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Step away from PAYE. Don't do it.